Amoroso, and this is the D2Z podcast, building and growing your business from a Gen Z perspective. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into D2Z, a podcast about using the Gen Z mindset to grow your business. I'm Gen Z entrepreneur Brandon Amoroso, founder and president of retention as a service agency Electriq. And today I'm actually joined by one of our first team members, Nikki, who is now an email and SMS lead at Electriq, is working across all of our clients to create and implement strategy for us, driving forward the Electriq audit process that I talk about so much, probably too much on LinkedIn and whatnot. And I was really excited to have her on. And I think you're the first Electriq team member that's been on the D2C podcast. So super exciting.
Wow, very exciting.
Well, if that's something that's exciting, I don't know. But anyways, thanks for coming on the show. Before we dive into things here, can you give everybody just sort of a quick background on yourself and like what you're doing now at Electriq?
Sure, yeah, I'm Nikki. I've been at Electriq for a little over 2 years now. I started when we were a team of like 10 to 15s, and now we are a lot more than that. It's been really fun to just like watch the team grow and kind of grow with everyone. I'm on the email team. I work pretty closely with our manager, Rafaela, and we are working on building out a bunch of processes. Like Brandon said, the audit process. I do like all of our audits right now, which has been really interesting to just kind of see like the sales process and work through that. And then also make sure that there's no gaps between like the sales process and then onboarding new clients. So I work really closely with the team members as we onboard new clients, just so that they get all the information that I had and they're really set up for success. And then I do work on a few of my own clients that I really enjoy, just like doing strategy and ideation and all of that good stuff.
What would you say has been the biggest change or evolution from working at Electriq when we're always still like trying to figure things out, but when we really were like young and nascent and didn't have any of these processes in place, like I don't even think when you joined, we had built out the 30, 60, 90-day process yet, or the audit or anything like that. So I guess what's that process been like for you from an outside looking in? I'm just super curious about that.
Yeah, so I mean, in the beginning, I got really good at Googling things because
There we go.
we didn't have like any processes set up. We didn't have like really best practices, really anything. So if I needed to figure something out, I would be like, okay, like Googling things and just like looking through help articles, figuring things out. And now we have a lot more resources. I would say it's probably like the biggest change, just the resources and also the team. So like if I can't figure something out, I'll go to the team first. Well, I'll Google things first still, and then I'll go to the team like to see if anybody else has gone through this. Because before it was like the three of us just trying our hardest to get all of our email SMS clients, and like obviously you were there as a resource, but you're busy. So yeah, I would say like definitely the resources that we have now have been a huge game changer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think and when trying to go about like finding the right team members for Electriq at that time, being able to be like a self-starter and like Google stuff and just sort of figure it out, while not optimal for sure, it was just sort of the reality. And I also think it's kind of like exciting and interesting. And I think like we're all still like Googling stuff and just trying to figure things out, but we at least have like the baseline process for how we can engage and execute with clients. And so now we're just so, I was talking to somebody the other day, like I look at some of our materials even from like 2020 and I'm like, who the hell would even work with us? I don't even like what. But I can imagine that in what year is it now? 2023. In 2024, 2025, whatever, I'll be looking back at our 2023 stuff and be saying the same thing, because just sort of trying to continually improve, I think, is really important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even just looking at like our reports, for example, like at the end of last year to now, like there's such a big difference. And I'm like, why were we even sending these to clients? Like, this is not good.
Yeah, but I think that's unless I guess I haven't really had a ton of other company experience, but I know you were at another agency before Electriq, at least for a little bit. It feels like one of the nice things about Electriq is that we are not super tied to anything in terms of like, oh no, like this has to be the way that we do it, or we've always done it this way, so this is how we must continue to do it. Um, which is why we have the flexibility to be able to like iterate so quickly off of existing processes that we already have and make them better, like the reports. Like I think the reports have changed like 3 or 4 times up until this point, but it's a good thing because for one, we're in an ever evolving industry where more and more data is becoming exposed to us, different insights and things, and so we just have to adapt naturally. And if were stuck in our reports from last year, we'd just be getting lapped continuously by other competition and not providing like good service for our clients. But I feel like that's at least been one of the nice things about working at Electriq for me versus going and working at like a traditional corporate job or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if I see something where I'm like, that doesn't really make sense, I'm not afraid to like tell someone and then we kind of just figure it out from there. And like I've definitely had people Slack me and like ask me things and I'm like, I don't know, like you could ask Brandon and they're like, oh, okay. And I feel like a lot of companies you don't have that kind of open door. Well, people everyone has like an open door policy, but it's not like truly
Right.
like you don't really have the ability to have that open conversation. Whereas like here, I'm not afraid to tell you like, hey, this sucks. We need to fix this.
I think that's something that I'm trying to like get back more into is keeping the same because it's still there, but I don't know if it's as obvious to the new team members who have started after us getting acquired because like Elisa's taken over a lot of the day-to-day of the agency, which has been like the greatest thing ever because I first of all was too busy. And so things were falling through the cracks and just it's far better now where I can focus on like the newsletter and some of the more strategic things. And then like Elise is there to help operationalize it and then like really dig in with the team. But then some of I think what has been lost is because it's not natural for people to want to talk to the founder or whatever, because historically there's like, I feel like there's a stigma or there's a hesitancy around doing so. When in reality, I would prefer that. Like I would actually want more people sending in requests for video content, making suggestions for how we should be changing things. Otherwise, we're just going to stagnate if there's no communication up and down the hypothetical chain. So like trying to figure out how to make it obvious to the new team members that it isn't just bullshit because that's what it is at most companies. I feel like is like, oh yeah, we have an open door policy, but for one, if you have 1,000-person company, it's not realistic to begin with, and two, I think a lot of people just sort of take that and they're like, oh yeah, it's just sort of being said, but like no, really, I think that's how we were able to get to this point is the collaborative feedback, and just collaborative nature of our team in general. And so trying to think through like how to make that more obvious and apparent to the rest of the team when I'm not going to have as much day-to-day interaction or contact with them as I did with you, for example, when it was just like 8 of us sitting in a little San Diego co-working office. So it's just different.
Yeah, I mean, Electriq team members, if you're listening, Brandon Slack is always open.
We should drop something in here that will be like anybody from the Electriq team listening gets, I don't know, like a $50 gift card or something. And then we'll know who actually listens to the podcast and who doesn't based off of who reaches out for that gift card. I think I'll start doing that. Maybe I'll drop it in the next newsletter too or something. That'd be pretty funny.
I think people would enjoy that. I know a couple people do listen because Larry actually slacked me and he was like, "Hey, did you listen to this episode?" And I was like, "No," but I have listened to a few, but not all of them.
There's so much content out there, I feel like. And um like for me, anything that comes out of the creation of content that is like what you would traditionally would think you'd want to create content for. Like if you were to look at like influencers, whoever it may be, but like they create content to generate followers, gain more awareness, and like make money. But that's not why we create content. We create content because it provides resources for our internal team to leverage. So all the white papers that I'll create, the Shopify deep dives, whatever, that's really first and foremost to serve the internal team. It just happens to have all these other applications outside of it. Same with the podcast. The podcast is really more so for a credibility standpoint. It's valuable in the sales process. It's valuable when, like, even if it doesn't serve any inbound purpose, if somebody were to Google my name or Electriq as they're going through an evaluation process with us or whatever it may be, they're just going to get bombarded now with case studies from other tech partners, podcast episodes, YouTube tutorials, white papers, whatever. It's not like we're Gary Vee here or anything where like people find us because of the content, though that's actually changed, I'd say, in like the last 9 months, which is cool. But I don't even know how we started on this dialogue at this point, but basically the content benefits that you traditionally like would think about when people go out and create content, those are all sort of secondary or tertiary for us. It's really more about creating enablement content for the team. And then it just so happens that this content has so many other ways that it can be repurposed and leveraged in the ecosystem. And it's so important now too, I think, to be talking about what you're doing and what's going on, which was not comfortable for me at all in the beginning. And so it's been an evolving learning process, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, it's funny because we've definitely had some like audit discovery calls where they're like, oh, I saw in Brandon's newsletter this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, cool. Good to know. Like, I'll focus on that. But I just think it's funny. I'm like, oh, okay, like you read that. Good for you.
Yeah. I think it's a blessing and a curse, because if the team wasn't engaged and didn't care about like pushing the needle forward, which is what I like about the newsletter, is it allows me to dig through the product updates of all of our tech partners every week to look at other things and then talk about what I think in the newsletter. But like if there was a big disconnect between what was going out in that and then what the team was actually executing on, then it would be really bad, because clients would be like, oh, well, I saw this in your newsletter, but then you're not actually doing it. But I think the team that has been built at Electriq is very much so all about continually learning and evolving and just sort of pushing the needle forward. So as opposed to looking at new challenges or new things as a threat, there is a desire and willingness to sort of jump in and not be concerned like, oh, maybe I won't be an expert in this right away. But the reality is we didn't even have, we had not even logged into a Klaviyo account in 2020. I don't think. I think we became like a partner in like 2021 or something. So all of this stuff is very easily attainable if you're just willing to sort of roll up your sleeves and dig in.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like when it comes to like new tools and like new product updates and everything, like at least on the email team, we all just kind of band together and we're like, all right, how are we going to figure this out together? Which is really nice, which like, again, with like looking at who you're hiring and like doing kind of a vibe check before they're on the team is really important, because like, I mean, obviously every company has had like people that don't fit, and like so have we, but I feel like right now it's like everyone's just in it for each other, and like we're really open to collaborating and working really hard together. And I really appreciate that about everyone on the team, and like especially like Rafaela and Elisa, who are like building the team as well and like kind of in the weeds with us, and they're always willing to jump in and help out, even though that's not like necessarily their responsibility. And it like if I can't figure that anything out, there's always backup.
Yeah. So in industry that has like a fair amount of, I would say, turnover, like e-commerce as a whole, though it's significantly less now, I think, like in 2023, but like in the height of things during COVID, I talk to some people who change companies like every 3 months. So I guess one question I would have for you is, what has led you to want to stay with Electriq for this long? Um, to put it bluntly.
Yeah, I mean, the people is like a big one because everyone at Electriq, like I feel very like connected to everyone that I've talked to at Electriq. I mean the team is pretty big now, so I haven't had like very super personal conversations with everyone, but I feel like everyone is very like collaborative and open, and we can have like open and honest conversations, and I'm not afraid to talk to anyone. So I'd say that's a really big one. And I am a huge people person. And so being remote at first was kind of hard because it's kind of hard to make those connections while you're remote, but
Mhm.
I'll like schedule one-on-ones with people just to like chat and like work through things together, and like it'll be a working sesh, but then we'll actually like have real conversations, which is really nice. And then I think another one is just like kind of the freedom and autonomy to do what I feel like needs to get done, rather than being like, okay, here's step 1, 2, 3, 4 that you need to complete every single day for every single client. It's like I can place my time where it needs to be. And like, sometimes this client will need me a lot more, and this client is kind of running in the background, and I can just like not think about them for a day, which is really nice. Whereas I feel like in the previous agency that I was at, it was not exactly like that. It was like you need to make sure you're spending a certain amount of time on every client every day. And like
Mhm.
mentally, like that's so draining. So,
And I think again that comes back to like personality of the person, because some people would actually prefer like, hey, this is your set schedule like every day, but that would not work at all
yeah.
when it comes to working here. Um, but you mentioned um, the ability to have that sort of ever changing schedule and working with different clients. Are you seeing, and especially since you're doing all the audits now, like what are some of the things you're seeing consistently that brands are maybe not taking advantage of, or um, missed opportunities that they could be better leveraging that you've seen across? I mean, we've had to have done at least like 30 audits this year, it feels like. So what are some of what's like the top 3 things that you'd say every brand is missing out on or could be taking better advantage of?
Yeah, so honestly, in every single audit, I make a joke before I go into audit calls. I'm like, I'm gonna count how many times I say zero party data. I never do, but it's a lot. Like zero party data, like preference collections in the sign up units, preference collections instead of an unsubscribe page, creating a quiz. Like, I feel like that's a huge one that I've been bringing up a lot in audits because not a lot of people are doing that. And it's like, you want to give your customers a personalized experience. How are we going to do that if we don't know anything about the customers?
Mhm.
So I'd say that's probably like the biggest one, which if any of the people I audited are listening to this, zero party data. Um, and then I would say another one is underutilizing SMS. Because like, yeah, you don't want to reach out to people too much. You don't want to reach out to them too little. Like there's a happy medium in there somewhere, and that's different for every brand. But I think that a lot of brands are afraid to find that happy medium. So they just kind of go with the low end and hope that it works. But I think that everyone can be doing a little more. And then the last one, I feel like I haven't seen a lot of like loyalty programs recently, and the ones that I have seen are kind of just like the out of the box solution where you get 50 points for signing up, you get 50 points for purchasing or whatever. And I feel like with loyalty programs, it's so important to actually treat your VIP customers like a VIP customer, and I'm not really seeing that. And so I think that would be another myth.
Loyalty programs are like my biggest pet peeve because they're all done. Not all. I mean, there's some that are good, but for the most part, they're all awful. Like they don't accomplish anything. They maybe have 1 to 2% of customers using them. Um, And I don't think it's really necessarily the tech company's fault or the brands. It's for one reason or another, there was this like narrative that everybody needed to have a loyalty program. And then everybody just went and downloaded like Smile.io or whatever the solution was a couple of years ago that I would see on every single Shopify website, that little widget in the bottom left corner. And I remember implementing it with so many clients as if like that was going to be the solution for improving their retention and like all of a sudden 10xing their revenue overnight. Uh, this is not the case because you need a team in place to like actually create what you said, like a really differentiated VIP strategy and experience. Not just, oh, you got 50 points. Well, what does that mean? Is that $5? Is it $50? Is it $500? Is it nothing? Like there's just very hard to equate value. And then you put so much of the burden on the customer to use points as well. Like it's on you to then go redeem the points for something. And for subscription customers, it's a nightmare because like, why would you want them logging back into their portal if all they want to do is just keep receiving your product? So I think some of the stuff that we're doing with brands where it's like all about surprise and delight, or just based off of looking at like a Uber model where you have, I think it's like Uber Gold, Platinum, something else, but it's all just based off of how many rides you've taken and how much money you've spent. And you just automatically get these rewards kicked in the more you use it. Same with like airline programs. Like just thinking about other industries and how we can translate that into e-commerce. Because I'm like addicted to my American Airlines program. Like my loyalty status matters to me. And so like I quite literally would go take a trip if that's what it required to make sure that I kept my status. And it's like, how do we, and I'm probably just a little bit crazy, but there's definitely a way that we can translate that into e-com. And I feel like there's maybe a couple brands that have done it, but not a ton.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like every loyalty program I'm a member of is because I'm like, okay, I want $5 off my next purchase, and that's really all I'm in it for. But I'm gonna come back and kind of buy that product anyways. Like the loyalty program isn't selling me on anything. It's not making me like, I want to buy everything from this brand. It's like, okay, no, I'm just gonna buy the same product that I always buy because I like it.
Right. And if anything, it's just actually just eating into the margin of the company selling you the product that you'd already used anyways. So
Exactly.
what's the point? What's like the what's the funniest thing that has happened in your 2 years at Electriq, um, with no filter in terms of client facing or anything? I feel like we could turn this into like an agency life podcast. Like, what's it like dealing with clients? What's it like dealing with Brandon? How many questions do you get about his dog on the website?
Um, I don't know that I have any like funny stories about the agency. Hmm.
Or
I
any
do.
story?
Um, I do remember when you used to live in San Diego and Attentive would come to town and take us out. That was fun.
Yes.
They, Attentive, if you're listening, you are the reason I don't drink anymore. So
Wow. I didn't even know you didn't drink anymore. Look at that.
yeah, yeah. Well, so we went to like a baseball game with them and they were buying us a lot of liquor. And then the next morning was rough.
And that was the last time that you had a drink?
Well, I say I don't drink anymore. I drink like on special occasions now, like if I go
Got
to
it.
like a wedding or something. But yeah, that was the last time I like actually drank, and that was quite the morning after.
Was I there for that?
I think you were.
Was I? I don't know.
Yeah, I might have seemed more put together than I actually was, but yeah.
Well, I clearly don't even remember if I was there because I must have not been super put together either. Well, look at that. Where not only can we do email and SMS marketing for you, but we'll help you become a better version of yourself by having a rough evening with a tech partner. Um, well, that is not exactly where I thought we would be going with this podcast, but
Yeah,
nonetheless,
can we cut that?
no, we're definitely including it. There's no way we're cutting that. Plus, it's with attentive team members who I don't think are there anymore. That was with Ben. Um,
Oh yeah, you're
I want to
right.
say, yeah. who's actually visiting me this weekend, which
Oh,
is another
nice.
thing that I have a question for you. Like, how many of your friends that you, um, like your friends that you hang out with now, what percentage would you say are like from work versus personal?
They're pretty much all from personal, but I will say there are quite a few of us going to Coachella this weekend. So I think we're gonna all try and meet up there. But like, there's so few of us in San Diego now, and it makes me a little sad. But Derek is coming to town this summer, so I will be seeing Derek this summer.
Really?
Yeah,
That's right. Everybody sort of migrated. Taylor's
I know.
in Washington, Derek's in like
Connecticut.
Connecticut or something.
I know.
Um, wasn't exactly the first place I thought he was going to move when he told me he was moving, but
I
it
know.
sounds like he likes it.
Yeah.
Um, we will have to do like a San Diego reunion. I think my favorite day, night, whatever of Electriq was probably the San Diego holiday party that we had with all the tech partners and whatnot. That was super fun. Um, I hope that we will be able to get back to having like one of those big holiday parties this year. Um, because it'd be really great to get everybody back in person together. But I'm really looking forward to ChargeX. I think like what are some of the things that and that's actually the first conference where we're gonna have like a lot of Electriq team members at. Like historically, I've gone and I think Nathan came to like one, but this like it'll be me, you, Rafaela, Elisa, Taylor. So I'm actually really excited for that because it'll be super fun. But what are some of the things you're looking forward to at ChargeX?
Yeah, I'm really excited. This is my first conference that I'm ever going to. So I'm excited to just kind of like I mean, honestly, I looked at the agenda, haven't dug that deep into it. I am excited for Jonathan Van Ness. I haven't tried any of his hair products, but I've heard they're really good, and I have watched Queer Eye. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to hear your speech. So that'll be
I
fun.
was gonna say Jonathan Ness versus Brandon. I mean, I don't.
I mean, hopefully you guys aren't speaking at the same time because that would be a bummer. But yeah, I'm excited to hear both of you and then just kind of like chat with our tech partners because I feel like there's a lot of work that could be done between us and our tech partners and really just strengthening those partnerships. And we've definitely been working on that this year. But I think being in person with some of them will be a lot like better than just being on Slack and me bugging them every day and being like, hey, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Now they can see that I know how to do things. I just need their help sometimes.
The I think as like Electriq has continued to grow and evolve, like I just continue to find myself being a bottleneck in terms of like because I'll just sort of move on to the next thing. And now it's even weirder because it's like some Electriq, some drinks, some Shopify stuff. But like that's definitely one area, like the tech partnerships, where still far too much of it is routed through me versus it just being like direct. And so I'm excited to use ChargeX as an opportunity to get more of the Electriq team exposure to the ecosystem and the tech partners because when we first started and we were super scrappy, like I barely even wanted to pay for myself to go to some of these conferences. And then now it's just been a lot of change through the acquisition. So I'm excited to start getting more and more team members looped into the conferences, the podcasts, things like that, to just help further empower the rest of the team to make some of these things go. And I think like if there's one job as a the founder of anything is to set the team up for success. And there's been constant times where I haven't done that and then have evolved and changed like strategy and approach to do so, whether it's like how we used to do sales and that just didn't work because I wasn't setting the team up for success because then the clients were like, oh, well, where's Brandon? Why is he not implementing this? Well, even if the team was like coming in with amazing recommendations that were even better than mine, like if I sort of overstepped and gave recommendations before the team could, then it wasn't setting them up for success. So there's just so many things that I think I continue to learn along the way, but sort of a long way of saying that I'm excited to have the team come to ChargeX and start to get working more closely with our tech partners.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing I want to touch on here before we hop is, and if you just have like any sort of general tips or advice for brands that are listening as it comes to their email and SMS marketing strategy. And then second question would be, what is it like sort of wearing multiple hats as a team member? Because, and this was a struggle for a while, I would say probably like a year and a half or 2 years ago, when we were pretty much just like an email and SMS agency. We weren't really a retention agency, but like I'm still a firm believer in, and I think you are as well, that you need to like be able to do things like think about zero party data and on-site touch points that you can gather that to feed into Klaviyo. So like it's not enough just to be in platform. So like what's it like having to do email, SMS, think about retention? I guess those are sort of my last 2 points last 2 questions before we hop off here.
Yeah, I would say for the brands, like I know everyone knows about segmentation, like shut up about segmentation, but you could be segmenting more. Because like with all the audits that I've done with some of the clients that I have who like, sometimes will do consulting instead of running their whole program. I've just noticed like that 30-day engaged segment, like stop sending to them. Send to like people who viewed this item or added it to their cart, or send to people who purchased this item like during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, like be really, really like targeted and thoughtful with who you're sending what to, instead of just sending the whole newsletter or the 30 days engaged segment. Because I've just been seeing a lot of that lately. And then what was your second question? Oh, wearing multiple hats.
Yeah, because I think like, and also you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when you first started Electriq, you probably just like email and SMS, like that's it. But then the expectations sort of changed to be more of like a retention strategist. And so just sort of what was that process like, and what are your thoughts just in general around having to be hopping into different particular areas?
Yeah, so at first it was kind of stressful because I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. What, Brandon, what are you talking about? But again, got really good at Googling. And then I think just like, I don't know, because now it's like we're kind of like an umbrella, and we have like email, retention, subscriptions, like all of the things under the umbrella. And it's kind of nice because I feel like we have more control over all of the things that are happening, and we have more say over all of the things that are happening, and we can position ourselves as experts outside of email and SMS, which like before, we were just sending campaigns, we were just creating flows. And now it's like, okay, we're creating this flow, and then this is what we think should be happening on site. And then this is what we think should be happening in the back end and all of that good stuff. So I feel like we're able to kind of create a more full circle strategy rather than just being like, okay, I'm just going to send this email and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, that's pretty much sums it up in terms of the whole pitch that is given to potential clients of ours. Because I think it's super important, and you can't really have one without the other. And now it's even like what I'm focused on is how do we continue to extend our capabilities around retention. Like I think we're launching direct mail soon, which is also getting pushed out of Klaviyo. How do we incorporate like push notifications? What are the like tools that aren't being leveraged yet by a lot of brands that we can sort of arbitrage with our existing clients, whether it's am I blanking on this? Whether it's like Windsor with the personalized videos that go out in the automated flows, like abandoned cart and stuff. The little things that are able to push the needle or move the needle forward for some of our clients is really important. But I think there's a whole sort of psychology thing around being able to wear a bunch of different hats and like jump into new areas, because I think a lot of it comes down to almost like a confidence thing. So I remember the early days of Electriq, like we had some team members, some of which are still with us today, that like knew their stuff very well, but would present it in a way to clients that was not commanding, or they wouldn't like push back and say, no, this is actually the right strategy, or you might be thinking about it in a wrong way. And then they just lose all credibility. Whereas I'm 99% sure that like at this point, I could get on a call with a client, tell them how to do SMS marketing completely the wrong way, but they would be like all bought in because it's like you're projecting confidence, like it's been done before, this and that. And so perception is almost more important than reality when it comes to like the agency client relations. Now you need to have both like long term in order to have a successful business. But I think that's also why some people have really negative agency experiences. It's because like they've got the confidence, they've got the ability to sort of sell the story and the strategy and push back, but then not able to actually execute. Yeah. I think again, it's just agency I find is a very good place for people who like to be able to dip their toes in different things to get to do that.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy being able to kind of do all the things because I don't know, on days where I'm like, okay, I just need to like build emails all day because I've been putting it off. Like, oh my God, I get so tired of it so quickly. So I like being able to like, okay, I'm going to do email strategy for this client. And then this client, we're working on their quiz. So I'm going to jump into that later. And so it's kind of fun. And then like with the confidence thing too, I've been kind of helping everyone build out their 30, 60, 90s at like, if a client goes from an audit to like working with us, I'll help build out the 30, 60, 90 because I did the audit. And every time I'm like, okay, like you got this, just believe in yourself because you know the strategy is good before they present. I'm like, if you believe in yourself, the client will believe in you. Because I've been able to build good relationships with all of my clients just because I believe in what I'm saying. And so they're usually like, okay, yeah, no, that does sound right.
And I think it's even harder remote too, because like you don't have the interpersonal like interaction. You can't really read the motions or the room. Um, so I feel like it can almost be a little bit more daunting sometimes getting on a call with a client because like feed, there's no feedback loop really. And especially if you're presenting, you're just sort of talking and talking. Um, yeah, that's why I like the Electriq so much too. The ability to just get to do a bunch of different things and sort of wing it as we go. So I'm glad that that's working out for at least you. We'll see who else is listening to this from the team and go from there. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Before we hop off, can you just let everybody know where they could find you online?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Nikki Kessler, or on Instagram at Nick Kessler. And those are my only socials.
Instagram. I need to, I don't think I have half the team on Instagram. Well, I don't, there's got to be some like joke or meme about like, like the company like following the team members on social media. I remember in high school, like everybody was like, don't have an Instagram, don't have this. It's like your future employer is going to see that you were at the baseball game with the tech partner. It's just funny. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on again. Thank you everybody for listening. As always, I'm Brandon Amoroso. You can find me at brandonamoroso.com or electriqmarketing.com. And we'll see you next time.